What, is it hot?
Back to the Future isn't just another science fiction movie. It's one of the most beloved films ever made. This time, travel adventure takes us on a wild ride through the past, present, and future. However, even after many years, there are still aspects of this movie that many fans have never noticed. From clever Easter eggs and behind-the-scenes mistakes to hidden meanings and secret connections, Back to the Future is packed with tiny details that make it even more special. Today, we'll uncover 25 secrets that have been hiding in plain sight for decades. Some of them reveal how the filmmakers created unforgettable scenes, while others showcase the amazing attention to detail that brought the story to life. Whether you've watched Back to the Future once or 100 times, these hidden facts will make you see it in a whole new way. Number 25. Bob Gale based the idea on a high school yearbook. Reportedly, Bob Gale's idea for Back to the Future began with something as simple as his father's old high school yearbook. He was flipping through the pages one afternoon when he stumbled upon a thought that changed film history. Then he wondered, what if I could go back in time and meet my father as a teenager? Would I like him? Would he like me? Would I discover something unusual about him? Then, in an unexpected twist, that innocent curiosity became the foundation of a story, where a young boy is accidentally sent back in time, meets his parents when they were much younger, and faces the strangest situation imaginable. His mother falls in love with him. Imagine that happening in real life. How would you handle meeting your parents at your age? Would they be the same people you know now or completely different? Significantly, Bob Gale's curiosity led to these exact questions, and with Robert Zemeckis, he began shaping them into a script that balanced humor and technical brilliance. The storyline followed Marty McFly, a high school student who travels back to 1955 and meets his teenage parents. When his mother, Lorraine, unexpectedly develops feelings for him, the plot turns into both a hilarious and uncomfortable race to restore the timeline. Now let's be honest, that idea sounds really wild. Every scene involving Lorraine and Marty had to be choreographed with care. The director needed to show her attraction without crossing a line, and Marty's panic without making him seem cruel or foolish. The filming locations also played a big role. The high school scenes were shot at Whittier High School in California, a real campus that gave the movie its nostalgic look. In a bid to actualize this, production designers filled the halls with authentic 1955 posters, lockers, and furniture, creating a world that felt too good to be just fiction. Consequently, this made it easier for viewers to believe Marty had truly stepped into another era. Although the time travel theme was fantasy, the world around it was unarguably real. Leah Thompson, who played Lorraine, said in an interview that she treated her role seriously. She wanted Lorraine to be a sweet, hopeful teenager and not a joke, going further to explain that the romance worked perfectly on screen because Lorraine didn't know Marty's true identity. Honestly, her confusion and excitement made sense for a girl her age. Michael J. Fox also mentioned that he played Marty as a boy, trying his best to avoid disaster while staying polite and funny. Their chemistry, guided by director Robert Zemeckis, struck the perfect balance, awkward yet touching. Christopher Lloyd, who played Doc Brown, once said that the story worked because it blended science fiction with family emotion. This time, the audience wasn't just watching time travel, they were watching a boy discover who his parents really were. So that emotional truth made even the strangest scenes relatable. Surprisingly, Bob Gale's discovery of that yearbook didn't just inspire a movie, it created a story that made generations think differently about family, destiny, and the funny ways love and time collide. Remarkably, his simple question, "What if I met my father in high school?" later became one of cinema's greatest what-ifs. Number 24. The original script was very different from what we saw. Yes, when Back to the Future was first written, it was almost an entirely different movie. According to Bob Gale's original manuscript, Marty's surname was not McFly, but McDermott, and instead of a DeLorean, the time machine was a refrigerator powered by a nuclear blast. Can you picture Michael J. Fox locking himself in a fridge, waiting for an explosion to send him 30 years into the past? The idea was wild, but Steven Spielberg advised against it, warning that children might try to copy the stunt. Thankfully, the switch to the DeLorean changed everything. Impressively, the sleek car added movement, energy, and style that instantly enhanced the beauty of the story. Production designer Lawrence Paul reworked sets to capture the car's stainless steel gleam, and the fiery tire tracks became visual proof that time travel had just occurred. Additionally, the characters evolved as well. Doc Brown was initially written as darker, while Marty, then McDermott, was edgier. Through Christopher Lloyd's eccentric energy and Fox's youthful charm, both became more lovable and human. If those early ideas had stayed, do you think Back to the Future would still have made history? Number 23. The movie was almost not called Back to the Future. It is hard to imagine Back to the Future being called anything else, but at one point, it almost had a completely different name. When Universal Pictures first read the script, studio executive Sid Sheinberg did not like the title. He thought audiences would not understand what it meant. Instead, he suggested the movie be called Spaceman from Pluto. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis were shocked. They knew that the strange title would ruin the movie's charm. Gale later shared that Steven Spielberg cleverly saved the day. Instead of arguing, Spielberg sent Sheinberg a thank you note saying how funny his joke about changing the title was. Effortlessly, that little twist of humor made the executive drop the idea, and the original title stayed. Imagine if the poster had said Spaceman from Pluto instead of Back to the Future. It would not have captured the same magic or curiosity. The movie's name mattered because it summed up everything in 3 words. It was exciting, mysterious, and hinted at time travel without revealing too much. Michael J. Fox once said in an interview that the title itself made people want to watch it, even before knowing what it was about. Keeping the title Back to the Future became one of the smartest decisions in movie history. It fit perfectly, just like the DeLorean's wheels on the road before disappearing into a flash of light and leaving behind nothing but fire and wonder. Number 22. The costume chaos. During the filming of Back to the Future, the wardrobe department experienced its fair share of amusing mix-ups. Behind all the polished looks and iconic outfits was pure chaos at times. Michael J. Fox, who played Marty McFly, accidentally kicked off one of the funniest wardrobe moments. During his first fitting, he showed up wearing his own Nike sneakers. The costume team forgot to bring matching shoes, so director Robert Zemeckis looked at Fox's feet and said they were perfect. That quick decision meant Marty McFly ended up wearing Michael J. Fox's personal shoes on screen. Another wardrobe mishap came with the famous orange vest. Many fans called it a life preserver, just like the characters did in the movie. However, that vest almost did not make it. The original version was a dull brown, which looked terrible under the bright California sun. Therefore, the costume designer switched it to a shiny orange to make Marty stand out in every scene. It was a last-minute change that worked better than anyone expected. Even the futuristic clothes in Back to the Future Part 2 caused laughter on set. The self-drying jacket and power-lacing shoes were high-tech props that malfunctioned frequently, leaving Fox soaked or tangled in wires between takes. From forgotten shoes to color swaps and tech disasters, one thing is clear. Marty McFly's look would not have been legendary without all that wardrobe chaos. Number 21. The accidents that almost happened. According to Bob, the movie's filming process was full of high energy, crazy stunts, and moments that pushed the cast right to the edge, sometimes a little too far. One of those moments came during the famous clock tower scene. Christopher Lloyd, who played Doc Brown, nearly had a real-life accident that could have changed movie history. While filming the lightning sequence, he was supposed to slide down the clock tower cable and reconnect the wires to send Marty back to 1985. Everything was carefully planned, but when the cameras rolled, something went wrong. The support cable holding Lloyd suddenly slipped loose, leaving him hanging high above the set with nothing but a thin wire in his hands. The crew froze in shock. For a few tense seconds, Lloyd dangled in the air, completely off balance. When he finally regained control and climbed back to safety, everyone burst into applause. Later, Lloyd joked that the terrified expression on his face in that scene was not acting. It was pure survival. However, he was not the only one who had a close call. Tom Wilson, who played the bully Biff Tannen, almost broke his collarbone during the cafeteria fight scene with Marty. When Eric Stoltz, the original Marty before Michael J. Fox took over, filmed the scene, he took his method acting very seriously, maybe a little too seriously. He threw every punch like it was real, and one of them hit Wilson so hard that the director had to say cut. Wilson later laughed and said he learned 2 things that day. Acting can hurt, and you should never fight a time traveler. Between hanging wires and real punches, Back to the Future was more dangerous than fans ever knew. Who would have thought that behind all the laughter and lightning, some moments came this close to chaos? Number 20. 40 rejections. Can you imagine a movie like Back to the Future being rejected over 40 times? That was the reality for Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. Studios thought the story was too strange, too innocent, or too risky. Columbia said teen comedies were better, Disney worried about family appeal, and Universal doubted time travel would work. Despite all the no's, Gale and Zemeckis kept refining the script, believing in their vision. Michael J. Fox later said that the persistence of the writers and Spielberg's support proved that even the best ideas sometimes have to fight to be seen. Number 19. Foreshadowing. If you watch closely, you would have noticed that Back to the Future gave hints from the very first scene about its thrilling ending. As Marty walks into Doc Brown's lab, clocks of all shapes and sizes tick loudly and gadgets hum with energy. One clock even shows a tiny figure hanging from its hands, a direct visual nod to the famous clock tower sequence where lightning strikes to send Marty back to the mid-80s. These early hints are not random. They set the stage for the story's climax and prepare viewers subconsciously for what is to come. Marty's curiosity and energy in the opening scene mirror the daring and quick thinking he will need at the clock tower. Christopher Lloyd, in interviews, says that Robert Zemeckis planned these details carefully, making the finale feel earned and inevitable. Even Marty's casual interactions with Doc foreshadow the intense trust they will need later. Can you imagine how different the story would feel if none of these early hints were included? The opening scene is more than an introduction. It is a blueprint for the electrifying conclusion that awaits at the end. Number 18. Michael J. Fox was not the first person cast as Marty. It is hard to imagine anyone else as McFly, but Fox was not the first actor cast for the role. Originally, Eric Stoltz was chosen. Stoltz was serious, intense, and committed to a method acting approach that completely changed the tone of the movie. The filmmakers quickly realized that while he was talented, his version of Marty did not fit the lighthearted, energetic, and witty character they wanted audiences to fall in love with. Shooting had already begun when Zemeckis and Gale made the tough decision to recast the lead. They knew it meant reshooting weeks of footage, but they believed the film would not work otherwise. Michael J. Fox, who was starring in the hit TV show Family Ties, agreed to take the role despite his busy schedule, filming Back to the Future at night after his daytime TV shoots. His charm, humor, and natural timing brought Marty to life in a way that no one else could. Christopher Lloyd later said in an interview that Fox's energy completely changed the dynamic on set. Scenes that were flat with Stoltz suddenly sparkled with Fox's presence. That small but crucial change transformed the film from good to iconic, proving that casting can make or break a story. Imagine if Marty had been anyone else. The film might never have become the classic we know today. Number 17. Christopher Lloyd turned down the part of Doc Brown. It is hard to picture Back to the Future without Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown, but believe it or not, he almost said no. When he first read the script, Lloyd was unsure about the role. The character seemed eccentric and over-the-top on paper, and he worried it might not translate well on screen. For a moment, the fate of one of cinema's most beloved mad scientists hung in the balance. After much thought, Lloyd eventually agreed to meet with Robert Zemeckis, and that meeting changed everything. Zemeckis' vision for Doc Brown was clear and compelling. He simply wanted a genius who was chaotic yet lovable, wild yet deeply human. On the other hand, Lloyd was intrigued by the challenge and decided to take the bold step. From the moment he stepped onto the set, his energy and improvisation shaped the character in ways the script alone could never have done. In an unexpected twist, the chemistry between Lloyd and Michael J. Fox later became a cornerstone of the film. Lloyd said in interviews that Fox's timing and natural reactions made Doc even funnier and more heartfelt. Many of the iconic moments, from frantic gestures to "Great Scott!" exclamations, came from Lloyd's own ideas. Without his final yes, Doc Brown might never have become the unforgettable figure that generations of fans continue to love. Next, number 16. Tom Wilson had his own Back to the Future script. You heard that right. Biff Tannen had an unusual way of preparing for Back to the Future, so he took time to create his own version of the script long before the cameras started rolling. Unlike the official screenplay, Wilson's copy included his own notes, jokes, and detailed answers to questions he expected fans to ask about Biff. He knew that once the movie became a hit, people would want behind-the-scenes stories, and he wanted to be ready. Wilson even joked in interviews that his script was Biff-proof, designed to keep him in character no matter what question came his way. Resultantly, this quirky preparation helped him stay sharp on set, especially during scenes that required improvisation, like the cafeteria fight or the infamous alley encounters with Marty. Unbelievably, his personal notes became legendary among fans who attended conventions or watched interviews. Wilson's approach demonstrates his commitment to understanding Biff beyond the page, treating the character as a real person rather than just a villain in a comedy. In a strange but unique manner, having his own script gave Wilson confidence, insight, and a sense of fun that translated directly to the screen, making Biff both menacing and endlessly entertaining at every turn. Number 15. A famous pop star has a cameo in the movie. Many fans remember Back to the Future for its time travel, the DeLorean, and Marty McFly's adventures, but not everyone notices a famous pop star makes a brief appearance. Huey Lewis, the lead singer of Huey Lewis and the News, not only contributed to the hit song The Power of Love, but also appeared on screen in a small cameo. He plays the strict audition judge for Marty's band at the high school dance. Lewis's role is short but memorable. As Marty's band rocks out, the camera pans to Lewis, who calmly tells them their performance is too loud. It is a funny and ironic moment because the song he wrote later defined the movie's soundtrack and became one of the most iconic songs of the 80s. In an interview, Huey Lewis said, "I never imagined I would actually appear in the film. I thought they would just use the song, but suddenly I was in the middle of the scene telling Marty and the band what to do. It was hilarious and completely unexpected." This cameo adds a layer of charm and humor, blending pop culture with storytelling and reminding audiences that even small appearances can leave a lasting impression. Number 14. Chimp sidekick. Few fans remember that Back to the Future almost had a chimpanzee as a sidekick. In early drafts of the script, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis toyed with the idea of giving Doc Brown a small, mischievous chimp to add extra humor and chaos to the story. The chimp would appear in Doc's lab, interacting with gadgets, and even unintentionally causing some of the problems with Marty's time travel experiments. The idea was short-lived, but it shows how different the movie could have been. The production team realized that working with a live animal on such a complex set, full of lights, wires, and moving props, would have been a disaster. Michael J. Fox later joked in an interview that he was relieved the chimp was never used, saying, "I barely survived the stunts we already had. I don't think I could have handled a chimp on top of it." Even though the chimp never made it to the screen, the concept influenced the playful, chaotic energy of Doc's lab. The clever gadgets, blinking lights, and unexpected surprises in every scene give the same feeling that a mischievous sidekick might have added. Next. Number 13. The extra fee. Back to the Future almost had a much higher price tag thanks to one bold decision. After weeks of filming with Eric Stoltz as Marty, the filmmakers realized he was not the right fit for the character. Recasting Michael J. Fox meant reshooting nearly every scene that had already been filmed. That decision came with an extra cost of around $4 million, a huge amount for a movie in the 1980s. Despite the expense, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis knew it was the right choice. Michael J. Fox brought the humor, energy, and charm needed to make Marty McFly unforgettable. The production schedule became hectic, with Fox filming for the movie during the day and for his TV show Family Ties at night. Crew members worked long hours to reshoot scenes, adjusting camera setups, choreography, and timing to fit Fox's performance perfectly. Christopher Lloyd later said in an interview that the reshoots added energy and spontaneity to the film that was missing before. The extra fee was not just a financial expenditure. It was an investment in the heart and soul of the story. That bold gamble paid off, turning Back to the Future into the beloved classic fans know today. Number 12. John DeLorean appreciated the film. It may surprise many, but John DeLorean, the man behind the iconic car used as the time machine, actually loved the Back to the Future franchise. When he first saw the film, he was thrilled to see his sleek stainless steel sports car take center stage in such a wildly imaginative story. The DeLorean, which had struggled in real life with slow sales and financial challenges, suddenly became a cultural phenomenon thanks to the movie. In interviews, DeLorean said he admired how the filmmakers made the car feel like a character in its own right. "They didn't just use the DeLorean, they made it magical," he said. "From the moment it hit 88 miles per hour to the flaming tire tracks left behind, the car was more than a vehicle. It became a symbol of adventure, imagination, and innovation." Can you picture another car having that kind of impact in a movie? Michael J. Fox even joked on set that the DeLorean was treated better than most of the cast. Every scene with the car required careful choreography, from its placement on set to the special effects that made it appear to vanish into thin air. DeLorean's appreciation showed that the film's success was not only in storytelling, but in the careful respect and attention given to every detail, including the car that made time travel possible. Number 11. Fox worked 2 jobs at once. Michael J. Fox's dedication to Back to the Future is legendary. When he was cast as Marty McFly, he was already starring in the hit TV show Family Ties. This meant he was juggling 2 demanding jobs simultaneously, filming the movie during the day and shooting the television show at night. The schedule was grueling. Fox often had only a few hours to rest before heading back to the set. He had to memorize lines for both projects, switch between characters quickly, and maintain the energy needed for the physical stunts in Back to the Future. Despite the exhaustion, his charm, timing, and humor never wavered. Crew members later said his dedication inspired everyone around him and helped bring Marty McFly to life exactly as Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis had imagined. Christopher Lloyd even joked in interviews that Fox's ability to perform high-energy stunts after long days of filming television was nothing short of heroic. Notably, that commitment transformed potential chaos into a smooth production, enabling Marty's character to shine on screen. Michael J. Fox's double work ethic was a key reason the film succeeded, proving that talent combined with dedication can overcome even the toughest challenges. Number 10. Spielberg initially doubted the composer. It is surprising to learn that Steven Spielberg, one of the most visionary directors in Hollywood, initially doubted the composer for Back to the Future. Alan Silvestri, who would eventually create the film's unforgettable and energetic score, was not Spielberg's first choice in the early stages. Spielberg worried that Silvestri's style might not capture the perfect mix of suspense, excitement, and humor needed for a time travel adventure. Can you imagine the movie without its iconic opening fanfare, the pulse-pounding chase themes, and the soaring moments that make Marty and Doc's journey feel larger than life? Despite Spielberg's hesitation, Zemeckis trusted Silvestri's vision and insisted that he compose the score. Silvestri carefully matched the music to the story's timing, making every jump in time, every chase, and every comedic moment feel perfectly synchronized. Michael J. Fox later said that the music made the stunts and emotional beats far more thrilling and memorable. When Spielberg finally heard Silvestri's completed score, he admitted in interviews that he had been wrong to doubt him. The music elevated the movie to a level that dialogue and acting alone could not achieve. It proved that sometimes taking a creative risk is exactly what a film needs to become legendary. Number 9. Fox learned guitar and stand-in sings. For the iconic Enchantment Under the Sea dance, Michael J. Fox had to perform as a rock star, but he was not skilled enough at playing guitar for filming. To make the scene believable, Fox took guitar lessons before shooting, practicing intensively to match the energy of the performance. Even so, some of the intricate riffs and strumming were performed by his stand-in and the band's guitarist during close-up shots. Christopher Lloyd later joked in interviews that Fox's dedication made the scenes look effortless. He really committed to it. You would never know from watching the film that sometimes the guitar playing was done by someone else, Lloyd said. Additionally, Lorraine said that Fox's energy on stage brought life to the scene, keeping everyone laughing and engaged during multiple takes. The combination of Fox learning guitar and using a stand-in for precise playing made the scene feel authentic and electric. The performance became one of the most memorable musical moments in the movie, blending acting, music, and choreography seamlessly. Number 8. Tension between Crispin Glover and Zemeckis. Filming Back to the Future was not always smooth, especially when it came to Crispin Glover, who played George McFly. From the start, there was noticeable tension between Glover and director Robert Zemeckis. Glover had very specific ideas about how George should be portrayed, insisting on a particular posture, voice, and even facial expressions that he believed captured George's awkward personality perfectly. Zemeckis, on the other hand, had a broader vision for the character and wanted to guide him more freely. This creative clash led to disagreements on set. Scenes often required multiple takes because Glover refused to compromise on his interpretation of the lines. Michael J. Fox later mentioned in interviews that it could be challenging to act opposite Glover due to the energy created by the tension. Still, he also admitted that it added authenticity to George's awkwardness. Leah Thompson noted that the tension sometimes made scenes feel more real, capturing George's nervous personality in a way that might not have emerged without Glover's insistence. Ultimately, the tension shaped George McFly into a unique and memorable character. Even though disagreements made production more complicated, Glover's insistence on his approach left a lasting mark on the film. Number 7. Lorraine's deadbeat line nearly got cut. One of the funniest and most memorable lines in Back to the Future almost never made it to the screen. During the scenes in 1955, Lorraine McFly utters the line "deadbeat" when referring to Biff. Initially, the script had a more generic insult, but Thompson improvised the quirky and slightly awkward word on set. The filmmakers loved the humor, but studio executives worried the audience would not understand it or might find it too odd. They considered cutting the line entirely. Fortunately, director Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale fought to keep it, arguing that small, playful details like this made the movie more authentic and funny. Leah Thompson later said in interviews that the line perfectly captured Lorraine's awkward teenage crush on Marty and her growing frustration with Biff, giving her character extra charm and humor. The choice to keep "deadbat" turned out to be a small but iconic moment that audiences still remember decades later. It is a great example of how tiny improvisations and actor input can shape a film in unexpected ways. Next, number 6, hidden family resemblance. Did you know that the McFly family on screen shares more than just a story with Bob Gale's real life? The co-writer of Back to the Future drew heavily on his own family when creating the McFly family. While George's awkward charm and Marty's rebellious energy were exaggerated for comedy, many of their gestures, expressions, and interactions were inspired by Gale's parents and siblings. This hidden resemblance is most noticeable in the 1955 scenes. George's nervous movements, Lorraine's mix of innocence and determination, and even the way the family interacts at the breakfast table mirror moments Gale remembered from his own childhood. Notably, Fox and Leah mentioned in interviews that these small quirks made their performances feel more natural and relatable. Gale's personal touches went beyond behavior to include humor, timing, and subtle expressions that enriched the story. These little details gave the McFly family authenticity and heart, making them feel real even amid the chaos of time travel. Fans might miss them on a first viewing, but they add depth that keeps the movie grounded and realistic. Number 5. Marty's skateboard chase requires a stunt double.
I'll get it back to you, all right?
The skateboard chase scene in Back to the Future is one of the most thrilling moments in the film, but it was far from easy to shoot. Michael J. Fox, as Marty McFly, performs daring stunts as he races through the streets, dodging cars and narrowly escaping Biff. To create a seamless scene, a professional stunt double was utilized for the most hazardous moments. The stunt double had to match Fox's movements perfectly, from his posture to the way he kicked the board. The crew carefully choreographed every turn, obstacle, and crash to ensure safety while maintaining the believability of the action. Even small details like Marty's clothing flapping and the positioning of the skateboard were designed to make the double invisible to the camera. Christopher Lloyd and other cast members later praised the stunt team's work, saying it made the chase feel alive and exciting. Michael J. Fox also practiced extensively on the skateboard to perform close-ups and easier stunts, blending seamlessly with the double's dangerous moves. The result is an unforgettable chase that keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. Could the scene have been as thrilling without the careful coordination and bravery of the stunt team? Number 4. The film was almost canceled. It is hard to believe now, but Back to the Future came dangerously close to never being made. During pre-production, several studios considered canceling the project, unsure if audiences would connect with a story about a teenager traveling through time. The concept seemed risky, combining comedy, science fiction, and romance in a way few had attempted before. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis fought tirelessly to keep the movie alive. They revised scripts, pitched tirelessly, and even filmed test scenes to convince executives that the story could work. Michael J. Fox's attachment also helped reassure the studios, showing that a recognizable and charismatic actor could carry the film. Even after casting and initial filming, the budget was a constant worry. The production required intricate sets, special effects, and careful choreography, all of which added to the pressure. Christopher Lloyd later said in interviews that the cast often felt the tension, but it also fueled their performances, giving the film a sense of urgency and excitement. Ultimately, perseverance won out, and the movie not only survived, but also became a cultural phenomenon. Number 3. Doc's laboratory clock overload was an intentional mood setter. Have you ever walked into a room and felt instantly overwhelmed by energy and chaos? That is exactly what Doc Brown's laboratory was designed to do. Filled with clocks, flashing lights, and buzzing gadgets, the overload of timepieces set the perfect mood for his brilliant but eccentric mind. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis intentionally crafted the space to evoke Doc's wild energy from the moment viewers stepped inside. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd stated in interviews that the chaotic lab environment helped them react naturally and added authenticity to their performances. Number 2. The Clock Tower Pigeon Problem. Filming at the Hill Valley Clock Tower brought an unexpected challenge: pigeons. The outdoor location attracted flocks of birds, which often swooped into shots or distracted the cast and crew. During the iconic lightning strike sequence, the pigeons became a real problem, landing on wires, props, and even crew members. Can you imagine trying to coordinate a dangerous stunt while birds keep flying into the frame? The production team had to get creative to manage the pigeons without harming them. Crew members used nets, quiet noises, and positioning strategies to keep them out of key shots. Despite the interruptions, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd stayed focused, performing their stunts with precision. Bob Gale later said in interviews that the pigeons added a layer of unpredictability, making the filming feel alive and slightly chaotic, which mirrored the story's high-stakes tension perfectly. Number 1. Real manure in Biff's nightmare. One of the most hilarious yet gross moments in Back to the Future involved real manure, and it almost had the actors gagging. During the scene where Biff Tannen wakes up in a pile of manure, the production team decided to use a mix of cork, mud, and food scraps that smelled awful under the studio lights to get the perfect look and smell. It was not fake or staged, which made the scene incredibly realistic and messy. Tom Wilson later admitted in interviews that it was one of the most uncomfortable experiences on set. He had to lie in the manure multiple times to get the perfect shot, and the smell was overpowering. Despite the challenge, Wilson and the crew made it work. Michael J. Fox recalled laughing uncontrollably during rehearsals, saying the scene's absurdity combined with the real manure made it impossible not to break character. Tom later joked, "It wasn't just acting. Anyone hit with that stuff would scream like I did." Which secret shocked you the most? Share in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more engaging content. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.